What if I told you that the key to your nagging lower back pain might be hiding in plain sight, right at your waistline? Today, we're going to explore this really fascinating link between a Hindu deity, Hanumana, the way your pants fit, and how you can finally find some relief. I know, it sounds a little strange, but stick with me, because understanding this connection could completely change how you think about back pain forever.
So let's start with a really quick check. Go ahead right now, just look down at your waist. Is the waistband of your pants or your skirt totally parallel to the floor? Or do you notice it dipping down lower in the front than it is in the back? Believe it or not, your answer to that one simple question holds a huge clue. That little tilt in your waistband, that could be the very key to unlocking and finally fixing your lower back pain. And that brings us right into our first section, that telltale waistband. Let's break down what that slanted line is really telling you about what's going on in your body.
Okay, so that dip you might see in your waistband, it's a classic sign of something called anterior pelvic tilt. All that means is your pelvis is tilting forward, and when it does that, it forces your lower back into this really excessive arch, and it pushes your abdomen out. So, what a lot of us think is just a pot belly is actually often just a result of this posture.
But listen, the consequences go way beyond just back pain. This constant forward tilt puts a ton of pressure on your lower abdominal organs, and that can lead to a whole host of other issues. We're talking everything from poor digestion and bloating to even more serious problems like incontinence. It really is all connected.
Which brings us to Section 2, the real root cause. It's so easy to just focus on the symptoms, but let's dig in and uncover what's actually happening on a biomechanical level.
So let's bust a couple of really common myths right out of the gate. First, that pot belly isn't always from excess fat. A lot of the time, it's just the physical result of that pelvic tilt we just talked about. And second, while you might think bed rest is the answer for back pain, it can actually make things worse by weakening your supporting muscles even more over time.
So here it is, the crucial point. The root cause isn't a weak back. It's a muscle imbalance. To be specific, you've got tight hamstrings pulling the back of your pelvis down, while weak quadriceps at the front of your thighs just can't provide the counter tension you need to keep everything level. All right, let's move on to Section 3, everyday posture hacks. Now that we know what the problem is, let's get into the simple, actionable things you can start doing throughout your day to fix it. Let's start with how you stand and walk. First, just try to consciously tuck your tailbone in. You can even place your hands on your lower back to physically guide the top of your butt downward. Now here's a surprising tip. Try walking just slightly pigeon-toed with your toes pointing a little inward. It sounds weird, I know, but this simple change forces your glutes to spread out, which directly relieves that painful compression in your lower back. And sitting correctly? Oh, this is a huge one. To do it right, start by leaning forward and bringing the back of your knees right to the edge of the chair. Then, as you lower yourself down, try to make the very base of your spine touch the chair back first. This little move makes sure your weight rests on your sit bones, those bony points you can feel, and it allows your spine to stay naturally tall instead of slumping over.
And here's an awesome pro tip. You don't need any fancy equipment for this. Just grab a hand towel, fold it into a little wedge, and place the narrow end right under your sit bones. It's amazing. This simple adjustment gives your spine a surprising amount of lift, making it so much easier to maintain good posture.
Okay, now for Section 4. We're going to look at a really powerful therapeutic exercise that you can do almost anywhere. I call it the two-chair solution. This exercise is just brilliant because it directly targets those super tight hamstrings. So first, sit correctly in a straight-backed chair, just like we talked about. Next, you're going to prop your feet up on another chair or a stool that's a little bit higher. Now the key here, and this is important, is to keep your knees pointing straight up at the ceiling. If you find them splaying out, you can even loosely tie your feet together. And finally, make sure your weight is resting on the back of your heels.
This simple position does something wonderful. It creates a therapeutic benefit known as a traction effect. As your hamstrings start to lengthen, your pelvis naturally begins to correct its tilt, and your spine gets this gentle decompression. The best part? You can do this while you're working, watching TV, or even as a passenger in a car. And if you want to enhance this effect, you can add even more traction. Try hooking your elbows over the back of the chair and gently pulling your upper body upward. Putting a small cushion under your tailbone will also help increase that lift. See what's happening? Gravity is pulling your lower body down while your arms are pulling your upper body up, giving your spine this fantastic release.
And that brings us to our final section, reaching for the sun. This is where we're going to take all these physical exercises and elevate them with a powerful mental image that can help you unlock even more relief.
You know, to truly understand what it feels like to create space in your spine, we're going to borrow a powerful metaphor from Yin Yoga. It's all about finding that extra little bit of length that you never even knew you had.
So take a moment and just picture this. Imagine how the baby Hanumana must have stretched when reaching for the sun, thinking it was a ripe fruit ready to be plucked and eaten.
That image, right, of stretching with such pure, innocent desire, it's incredibly powerful. The next time you think you've lengthened your spine as much as you possibly can, bring that image to mind. I promise, it can help you find that hidden capacity for just a little more extension, a little more space.
So as we wrap this up, I'll leave you with this thought. Whether you start by just tucking your tailbone, or you try using that folded towel, or maybe you imagine yourself reaching for the sun like Hanumana, the real question is, how are you going to make space in your spine today?